get set for the second half of this schedule coming up. They'll close with 6 straight SEC games. Minutemen won the coin toss and deferred. We will see Brady Cook, Luther Burden III first. And a moment for the Minutemen perhaps to make history in search of a monumental upset. Marquise Johnson back deep to receive. And off the bounce from the end zone, Johnson. In search of a crease, he won't find it. Upended, crossing the 20. As we take a look at today's impact players, brought to you by Cracker Barrel.
Well, we're going to start with Missouri and start with the running game. Running back Nate Noel. He's 5'8", 187, and he moves like it. You don't get what I mean now. Just wait till you watch him. You'll understand. Then Luther Burden, going to be one of the top players drafted at receiver. He has to get going early. On the other side, Jacoby Keeney James. He's like Tupperware. He's hard to put a lid on. He gets behind defenses. And then linebacker Jalen Stewart's going to be key if they want to slow down this Missouri offense that loves to run the ball on the edges.
Noel has put up some monster numbers in games this year. $199 against Vanderbilt in the overtime win. And an early infraction, unsportsmanlike conduct penalty after a play was whistled dead against UMass. So much better starting field position for Brady Cook and company. Pistol look on first down, our first play from scrimmage. Marcus Carroll, the running back, straight ahead. He'll try to plow his way right to the right side of his center. Can't do it. Jalen Harrell with the tackle, and it's second down. Now this Missouri team, high expectations to begin this season. On show, they were ranked as high as inside the top 10. Cotton Bowl victory against Ohio State last year. And Eli Drinkwitz in year 5 on a different trajectory until last week's speed bump down at Kyle Field.
It was bigger than a speed bump. It was closer to a wreck. They gave up over 40 points versus A&M. And the thing that he didn't like is that they didn't fight back.
So 41-10. A&M victory, 30-0 lead right after halftime. Jet sweep to Burden. He's got all kinds of real estate. Luther Burden in open space. And how easy was that for the Tigers from Mizzou? 2 plays and a touchdown. That one from 61 yards out.
The one thing that we heard from the offense, at least offensive coordinator from Missouri, is that we have to get Luther Burden the ball early. Last week on a big touchdown that got called back, he ran 21 miles per hour. This week you saw him turn the Jets on.
21 is putting it on, right? I mean, that's some elite speed.
It's pretty good. I've reached the 19s in my day, you know, so I'm not too far off.
It's really good with your size.
Oh, wow, really?
It's elite.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I mean, to be able to do that. Here's Blake Craig. Missouri, 2 plays, 1 touchdown, and a 7-0 advantage. Less than a minute in here at Amherst.
So you don't have to get Luther Burden the ball when he's at receiver. Just get it to him on the end around. It deceives the defense. All he has to do is to get to the edge. So there's no edge set. And what Luther Burden does a great job of is not just trying to run out of bounds, but finding the gap, finding the crease, knowing that you're a better athlete than every single person on the field, both offense and defense, and getting to the end zone.
Burden considered by many to be one of the top wide receivers available in next year's NFL draft. Mel Kiper has had him rated as high as number 2. Of course, those rankings subject to change by the time we get to next April. But with Burden and Theo Weiss Jr., thinking about Mizzou long-term and Eli Drinkwitz this season, 2 very big reasons why they have a chance to be a college football playoff team.
But to your point, Roy, they have to turn that flip on, to flip the switch, that light switch. It hasn't been on. They've almost been kind of like going through the season in mud. They found ways to win. Overtime win against Vanderbilt, a loss last week. And so things like that, plays like that can remind you of who you are versus the opponent that you're playing.
T.Y. Harding back deep to receive. Ensuing kickoff. Blake Craig sends it deep to the 4. Harding waiting on the convoy. He'll cut it back. Plenty of green in front of him for a moment. Good starting field position for the Minutemen and Tyson Pumajon. So they get the football first, so we check in with Taylor Davis.
Reporting live from the wind tunnel down here, Roy. But for quarterback Tyson Pumajon, facing this level of competition in Missouri is familiar to him, having spent time at both Clemson and Georgia Tech. He said all of that experience is affording me poise and confidence. After overcoming 2 leg injuries, he also told me he feels like he's playing the best ball he has. And look, that wasn't the start that this UMass team wanted. They wanted to build some confidence early. So that veteran leadership of Tyson Bumachan is something they'll lean on here on this drive.
Acho is a player that's been involved in college football playoff games in the ACC with Clemson. Now you look at what he's been able to do, trying to lead this program back to respectability. On first down, he wants to throw it. Buy some time, go underneath. Ball popped out late. He'll rule it incomplete to Gibson. And Jaquan Gibson unable to corral it. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Talk about that belief and that opportunity to be a leader. That's what Tyson Bumachan is. He actually had a lot of players from Clemson transfer with him and follow him to UMass. And so this is an opportunity for you to face some adversity early, but keep your team confident.
C.J. Hester in at running back as Kenny James went in motion. And Hester, the bruiser, career high 71 yards his last outing in the loss against Northern Illinois. Picks up 3. It's 3rd and 7. Chuck Hibbs, Johnny Walker Jr. with a tackle.
Roy, this is one thing that we had talked about over the last several days of how will Missouri respond to an embarrassing loss, an embarrassing defeat versus A&M. Coach Drinkwood said there was a great week of practice, but you never know how it's going to look until you get on the field. So far, so good, but it's still very early in this game.
Minutemen 39% on 3rd down this year. SEC team has never played inside Kirk Alumni Stadium. They'll run the option. Hester, problems with the pitch, stacked up in a TFL for the Mizzou defense. Alan Carnell brought him down.
This is a great job by Dalen Carnell. He's a safety. He's eyes on the pitch, man. So someone has the quarterback, Carnell has the pitch. Great job by Carnell, slow playing, not just running straight to the pitch, but staying in his leverage and making sure that he was on his responsibility. You're going to see a lot of that speed option from this UMass offense. Great job slow playing the speed option by Carnell.
Slow playing, I like that. That's new in the Acho vernacular. Kaloji sends it deep. We mentioned the weather will be a factor, the wind a factor, and that punt caroms into the end zone. Mizzou gets it back. A great start and a 7-0 lead in Amherst. And punching that punching bag on the way in. I'm in, it says. Black and gold lettering there. Sam Acho, Roy Philpott, Taylor Davis. Good start for the team. Head coach Eli Drinkwitz, who has reached a bowl game every season in Columbia, Missouri. He told us yesterday, you know, last week, Sam, it shook our confidence. Got to find a way to get it back. They're running the same play to the opposite side of the field. The jet sweep and a pop pass to Luther Burton.
To the snap, ball start, number 86, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
Jordan Harris, a bit jumpy. It was a more humble version of Coach Drink, I felt like, in our conversations yesterday. He's always confident, nobody's going to question that, but last week, a bit of a setback to try to say, okay, what did we do so wrong? How do we fix that right now?
When you get embarrassed in the way in which they did last week, it changes your perspective on things. And so that's what we saw when we met with them.
Marcus Carroll, the Georgia State transfer, across the 20. Get the penalty yardage back, a 6-yard gain. Stewart and Johnson combined to make the stop, and they may give him 7 on them.
We heard from Coach Brown Roy yesterday, who's the head coach of UMass. This is the style of offense that Missouri wants to run. Off of the edges, usually running back in pistol. They're going to run it until you stop it. So if Missouri doesn't get stopped, expect more of that stretch play to the left or to the right.
Marcus Carroll motions out, empty backfield for Brady Cook. UMass shows pressure. Brady Cook escapes. Cook's got the 1st down, rumbles ahead across the 35. 15-yard gain for the 5th-year senior.
They're not afraid to run these quarterback draws. Brady Cook is a better athlete than you would expect, and that's what you see. They use his athleticism. Middle's wide open.
Carroll got the start in the backfield. Nate Noel just yet. Stacked up after a 1-yard gain by Jalen Hudson. UMass defensively, they put up some numbers this year, and you would think with Don Brown that he's got some tricks up his sleeve. 19 days short of Halloween.
They have, but the issue is this. They are going to be out-athleted by Missouri. And so how do you stop people who are better athletes than you? Well, you have to be fundamentally sound. You have to tackle well. You have to stay on your leverage. We haven't seen that early in this game.
And pressure versus a 7-man box. Brady Cook Across the middle, wide open. Theo Weiss Jr. into plus territory. Brought down to the 48, a gain of 14. Rudolph, the tackle.
And notice how easy and slow this game is going. Why do I say slow? This is what Missouri wants to be in. They want you to put you in empty to expose the defense and make sure you're not disguising, right? Empty pretty much makes you naked. You have to go and cover who you're going to cover. No more disguises. They want to have easy passes, easy reads, just to get back into a groove, which they haven't been in several weeks.
Weiss and Burton putting up solid numbers this year. They're good friends. We had a great conversation with Theo yesterday about their relationship, competitive on the field. Pranksters away from the playing surface, Theo indicated. Marcus Carroll struck down from behind. Jarrell Johnson with the tackle. These two programs, Acho, they will grind clock, both in the top 10 of the nation. That time of possession, especially with what UMass likes to do. They will not operate quickly today, and Missouri will vary their tempo at times.
And neither team turns the ball over, so tempo plus no turnovers usually leads to wins. On one side, we've seen it for Missouri, UMass, they just haven't been able to finish. Late leads, late games, they give them up.
Here's Cook underneath. And the dump off, second and long. Winterberg, Jalen Stewart the tackle, third and short, a gain of 7.
We'll call third down, money down, Roy, and I get what we're seeing here. We saw the early score, saw UMass 3 and out, but defense can lead to offense. So right at this position, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, this UMass defense, if they can get a stop, can get good field position.
2 touches for Burton. We'll see if they identify him here on 3rd and short. Instead, it's the give inside. Didn't need much. That should be enough to move the chains. So Marcus Carroll sent a lot of number 9 in white and gold today. Back with the tackle. It's enough to keep the drive alive so far. 7 runs, 2 passes, and Eli Drinkwitz told us we've got to establish the ground game today. No excuses.
Yeah, what it does is once you can run the ball, it can open up your opportunities for play action passes. Defenses and safeties will say, okay, I got to try to do a little bit more to stop the run. Play action, throw it over their heads.
Here's Jamal Roberts. Cook fakes it his direction. Burton another touch into the open field, and he slipped and fell on the turf. What do you like most about Luther Burton's game as a receiver at the next level?
I love his quickness. One thing that stands out to me about Luther Burton is how quick he is as a receiver. The second thing I like is he's really great when it comes to contested catches. You'll see him, and he may look covered, but if you throw it just in his vicinity, in his area code, he's oftentimes going to come down with it, whether it's 1 or 2 guys. I played with Larry Fitzgerald in the NFL, and Larry said, man, I don't care if I'm double teamed, throw me the ball, I'll make a play. That's what I see with Burton.
He's not a big wide receiver, 5'11", decent size, but not tall or physical by any stretch. Brady Cook, right side rumble, and a first down. But you mentioned, I think he plays a lot bigger than the frame suggests. We know about the speed and how easy he makes it look.
He makes everything look easy. And they joke, Theo Weiss was joking about his speed, saying who's faster? Am I faster? Is he faster? But he's showing off his speed. That was a question mark that scouts had. Okay, I know he can catch. Does he have getaway speed that he can burst? And he's trying to show it off, not just last week, but this week.
No slow playing with Luther Burton is what I'm hearing. Here's Jamal Roberts. Bounce it outside to the edge. And a short gain. Sorry with the tackle. Give him 3.
It's interesting to see. We're seeing more of the bigger backs in the backfield. Jamal Roberts is 6 foot, 211. Marcus Carroll, 5'9", 216. So these thicker backs are getting in the game to try and steal and push for a few extra yards.
Tigers went from Kyle Field, over 100,000 fans last week at Texas A&M as Burton remains on the sideline for the moment. Around 15,000 today. Complete opposite end of the country.
Timeout of the half.
Timeout on the field. We step aside. Mizzou in the red zone. Don Brown in search of a stop when we come back.
We are seeing it here.
Into the red zone, the Tigers after the UMass timeout. 11th play of the drive here. Encroachment and a free play for Brady Cook. Front pylon incomplete, looking for Cooper.
Offside. Defense, number 13. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Jalen Hudson jumped across the line. As a linebacker, you play in the league or at Texas, and you knew that you had a guy jump across the line. How frustrating was that to know they had a free play?
It is, because the one thing you talk about is you say the word earmuffs, 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 meaning, hey, forget about the snap count or the hard count. Keep your, quote, earmuffs on so that when they do a hard count, you stay on sides.
Luther Burden back on the field. Already a rushing touchdown from 61 yards out. Lineup in the backfield. Marcus Carroll gives way to Jamal Roberts. And a stop by Jackson after a gain of 2.
And Roy, I know we're still early in this game, but I'm thinking, okay, why would UMass have called a timeout so early in the game? One thing we heard from the coaches is that we have to stay close in the first quarter, because if this thing gets away from us, it may not look pretty. I'm not saying that's why they called the timeout, but if you get down a 14-point hole early, it could be an easy way to lose confidence.
And snowballs in a hurry. Extra offensive lineman is brought in, and Mitchell Walters. And the running back is Marcus Carroll. Now the pistol look. Carroll's going to plow his way straight ahead on 3rd and short. He'll have the first down. It's 1st and goal from the 2. Now Mizzou efficient on the road here in Amherst. Trying to bounce back after a tough loss last week in College Station. Don Brown back to the drawing board. Well, he was excited about this opportunity yesterday. An SEC team coming here. Never happened before. For Eli Drinkwitz, he was looking around saying, this is weird. He's got a way with words.
He does have a way with words.
Always enjoyable to sit down and speak with. Straight ahead, wide open, the touchdown. It's Carroll. 3rd of the season. Mizzou strikes again. 2 possessions, 2 touchdowns, both Acho on the ground.
And you're seeing not only bigger backs, but bigger human beings in the game. Mitchell Walters came in as an extra lineman. He's 6'8", 331 pounds. What did they do when he went in? They ran behind him. And so you're not only out-athleting your defense, but now you're outsizing them and running behind your big guys.
Blake Craig has been perfect. His PATs this season. Into that breeze. The Mizzou ground game is the story. 112 yards, 2 scores. And the Tigers on the road, a great start. 21 Mizzou leading UMass 14-0. First ever meeting between these 2 programs. Eli Drinkwitz, his team, bouncing back so far after the loss last week. 80 yards and 13 plays. Marcus Carroll, we've seen Jamal Roberts. No Nate Noel just yet. We'll see if there's a development there. Blake Craig back on the field, kick it away. With that breeze at 32, gusting. Gotta have the holder in there. Make sure the ball stays on the tee.
And it's gusting. They're kicking into the wind, and so expect a return on this one.
Craig tries to drill it right to the tee. Still comes up well short, but a Carroll into the end zone, and Harding have it ruled dead for the touchback. Coming up next, ABC, ESPN Plus. It's a new start time for the Red River rivalry game of the Cotton Bowl, the Metroplex. Number 1, Texas. Number 18, Oklahoma. Then later tonight, 9th-ranked Ole Miss down to Death Valley against number 13, LSU. And don't forget, late tonight, here comes Coach Prime's Colorado Buffaloes. Number 18, K-State. Avery Johnson on the road, 10:15 Eastern on ESPN. And some fireworks in Boulder, as it always seems these last 2 seasons. They're off to a good start this year.
They are. How many touchdowns will Travis Hunter get? How many interceptions will he get? The 2-way star? Can't wait to watch.
What's the step count on Hunter when he plays on both sides for CU? Straight ahead goes UMass. And that was C.J. Hester, the tackle by Corey Flack Jr. I mean, it's got to be, what, 30,000 steps, 40,000? I don't know.
Well, not even steps. I think about plays and output. Sometimes they wear these deals that actually can track your output, the energy that you put out. I couldn't imagine over 100 plays if you're combining offense and defense. Doing that all season long is really amazing.
Did they track steps when you were playing with the Bears?
I still don't
Texas?
track steps. I still don't track steps, man. They track plays. How many plays did you play?
After a 4-yard gain, under 5 to go in the first. Puma John, play action, and dumps it off to his tight end. And Mazzotti, we were told he would be an integral part of the game plan today by Shane Montgomery and Dom Mazzotti. 5th catch of the season and a first down.
And this is the second time we've seen, at least in the last 2 weeks, Missouri have issues with people to the flat. That's called the flat, down by the sidelines. Sometimes if you're a linebacker and you're focused on the running game, you'll miss your tight end or receiver to the flat. That's what happened.
It's a gain of 19, the initial first down for UMass today. Fake it to Hester, Pumachan. Rifles one, incomplete. Tap dancing out of bounds was Jacoby Keeney James. Huge numbers this season, leading receiver for the Minutemen, over 450 yards. Jakai Lang providing the pressure on Pumachan.
One thing I'll be looking for as this game progresses, if UMass does decide to pass the ball, is how elusive will Tyson Pumachan be? He's a dual threat quarterback, so he can run, he can pass. But if there's pressure, will he be able to get away from the pressure and get the ball downfield? That's what I want to watch as this game goes on.
As Shane Montgomery, the offensive play caller, former NC State quarterback, said, we've got to see how this game starts to figure out where we could have some opportunities to make hay. 1 yard gain, it's 3rd down and long. It didn't happen there. Khalil Jacobs, Jalen Marshall sandwich to make the tackle.
Yeah, he talked about seeing how the game starts, but also I talked to him on the field. He mentioned that this wind may be a factor as well when throwing the ball down the field. Now they're throwing with the wind. He said deep balls could actually be harder because that ball could carry down the field on you. May not be as accurate.
Nearing plus territory. I mentioned the pace of UMass. Get to the line, hurry up, check the call. Slower paced teams in college football. A first down here. JKJ, Jacoby Keeney James. Big conversion on 3rd down. 11 yards on 3rd and 9.
He's very slippery. That's what Jacoby is. He can get behind you on the defense. A great pickup by the running back on the blitz. But he's slippery. He can burst up field. He can go and lose ground to gain ground. He's a very great route runner, and he's hard to stop.
UMass lost its top 6 wide receivers from last year's team. Keeney James transferred in from Eastern Washington. And Campbell racing out across the 35. Got some good blocking up front.
That was Mazzotti in there again, not just catching the ball at tight end number 81, but also great block by Dominic Mazzotti as well. Talk about that bigger role. Sometimes you have to do the dirty work to get rewarded.
Did you ever play offense? Were you always a defensive end or a linebacker?
No, I did play offense. In high school, I was a tight end, and, you know, your boy could get a couple tight end reverses, a couple touchdowns.
Matt Brown should have thrown you the football at times in Austin. Campbell on 2nd and short. It'll be 3rd and 1.
Roy, you mentioned all of these new wide receivers for UMass. Another element of it is that Tyson Pumachan did not participate in spring coming off that knee injury. This offense has had to learn and gel as the beginning of season went on.
And it's been a process. A great point by you. Pumachan pushed Campbell, trying to get him to the first down. And instead it's a false start after the stop by McClellan.
10, number 7, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Hacho, you hear that breeze down there? It's fierce.
It is, and so 2 things happen. Number 1, you start thinking about field goals. Okay, will our field goal range extend as Don Brown's trying to contemplate what he does in this situation? And number 2, just so that hurry up, that false start, this team doesn't get penalized a lot, but they also don't go fast very often. They tried to go really fast there, and quarterback Tyson Pumachan didn't get set. That's why you see that 5-yard penalty.
Minutemen need 7. Pocket collapsing. Pumachan steps up, and then it's driven down near the line by McClellan. So a loss of a yard, and if you're Don Brown plus territory, 4th and long, you mentioned the wind. What do you do?
I don't mind kicking it in this situation. The reason I say that is that the wind is 20 to 30 miles per hour, but you're kicking with the wind. Remember the video games that you can be able to see, okay, will this wind help me or hurt me? You can look at the flags, look at whatever you want to look at. I think that this is a good decision to try to kick it because of these 30-mile-per-hour gusts.
It's not a field goal, but a punt. C.J. Kaloji. I mean, the wind's blowing so hard, the actual goalposts were shaking. Try to send it down and back it up like a wedge. Instead, it's 10 yards deep. And a touchback, and we check in again with Taylor on the Mizzou offense.
Well, Sam, you mentioned earlier how important this first quarter was to UMass. It's also incredibly important for Mizzou. The players that we talked to this week really highlighted the first quarter in that Texas A&M game, specifically a couple of momentum plays that were called back. And they said it was an uphill battle the rest of the time, and they weren't able to sustain anything out of that. So over here on the Mizzou sideline, especially offensive leaders, kind of breathing a sigh of relief, going, okay, this is who we are. This is more like it. Let's build from here.
And the reason that matters, Taylor, is that you're 17, 18, 19 years old. Confidence is a really big deal. Coach's job is to instill confidence. You've practiced all week. Will what I do work? And as you see early in the game, so far it has for one, it hasn't for another.
Another timeout called by the Minutemen. Their second here in the first quarter. By the way, do you still like the punt decision there after a gain of just net 18 yards with a touchback?
Well, I don't like the punt decision because of that net 18 gain. So, of course, if you kick the field goal and you miss it, then that's an issue. You give them field position. But if you punt it and you punt it in the end zone, you only gain 18 yards.
Legendary coach Don Brown, a versatile head man across multiple fronts. How about the Yale baseball coach in 1992, the mustache perfection before heading to UMass. 5-year stint, the most successful run in Minutemen history, playing FCS football. And then you probably recognize the name from his days in Ann Arbor with Coach Harbaugh. Nobody had it better than him as the defensive play caller for the Maize and Blue. 2016 through 2020. He told us a great story yesterday. Came in and sat down with his Yale athletic director, and he said, hey, we need you to help out in baseball. It's like, no problem. He was a coach for a year. They went to the postseason. One-run loss to Clemson, had a chance against UCLA. Things started to change. He was back specifically on the gridiron the following campaign. Luther Burton around the right side picks up another first down.
He's a great teacher. That's what we noticed. We had a conversation with him yesterday. He was teaching us different techniques about, he calls it the pup technique. Then he calls it pup to dent. Roy, you actually were doing the pup technique, looking like an outside linebacker, or at least trying to, a 5'8" or 5'7" or 5'6". Outside linebacker. Okay, cool. Outside linebacker. But it was so awesome to watch and learn from not only one, but two great coaches.
UMass, 14-point deficit at home. And you look at some of the percentages in the college football playoff opportunities out there. 12-team playoff this year. Mizzou's on the board in the SEC. A lot of other teams are as well. Kewan Lacey, the third different Mizzou running back we've seen, tackled by LeBrun. And it's interesting, still no Nate Noel at this juncture. We've seen Carroll, Lacey, and Jamal Roberts.
And they're getting a lot of different runs from their different backs, but all of them have been effective. You don't have to do anything special or sexy. Just running the ball, they're getting 4 or 5 yards a pop, and sometimes 80.
After a gain of 4, try it again, drug down from behind and holding on for dear life to Lacey. McElroy, the penetration, Brandon McElroy. Makes it third down after a 3-yard gain. Mizzou's been ranked in the AP top 25 18 straight weeks. Even after that loss a week ago. Empty the backfield. Brady Cook on 3rd and 3.
Last time they went empty, they went quarterback draw. Let's see what they do this time.
Cook has gained over 1,000 yards on the ground in his career. Now a timeout. Third timeout called by the Minutemen here in the first half. Don Brown will talk things over. Critical play coming up, already down 2 possessions. Minutemen would love to get the football back. Well, there's the Taco Bell Live Más student section. All season long, student sections across the country are competing to be the Taco Bell Live Más student section of the year. Download the Taco Bell app to learn more. Calling it a maroon out today. Mizzou has traveled some of their fans as well, the long trek from Columbia, Missouri. Just looking for something to engage a little bit more. A big play, a stop on 3rd down. Whatever it is to try to turn Uncle Mo back in their direction. Hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, and we're seeing, this is the first time I've seen this, all 3 timeouts are now gone with 13 minutes and some change left in the second quarter. On this last play, you saw there was some confusion. Who do we cover? What's going on? Where do I line up? The last timeout that was called, there were 12 men on the field. So I don't know if this is, hey, big, bad SEC opponent is in town. Get back to playing your fundamentals.
UMass has felt a little jittery so far. Case in point, free play for Cook, and the opportunity for Weiss Jr., a big pitch and catch. And Mizzou in plus territory, gain of 28 yards. Jalen Hudson jumped across the line.
Offside, defense. That penalty decline results in the play of first down.
That's the second time Jalen Hudson has jumped off sides. That's the great job by Brady Cook and by the offensive line, center Connor Tollison, snapping the ball so that they can get the ball off. You saw the defense slow down, thinking that it was going to be not a free play, and then Theo Weiss doesn't stop. So great execution, second off sides by this UMass defense. Second time they took advantage of it by Missouri.
Third pre-snap penalty against the Minutemen defense. Lacey, outside zone, inside the 30. And a 2-yard gain, maybe 1. That'll be second down.
That was a good job by Kofi Asari. He's 6'4". One of their coaches said he's a freak. He can flat out run. They also told us that he's a guy to watch. And so you talk about, okay, how do you get momentum back? How do you get Uncle Mo back in your favor? It's individuals on the football field making plays like that. Second and long is where you want to be rather than second and short to go to the bench.
Really a cloud in the sky on this Saturday. Fake it to Lacey, Cook on the move. Couple of pump fakes. The dump off to Burton, stays in bounds. Oh, the cutback ability, the burst ability for number 3 in white.
That's something we talked about, Roy. You said what makes him different, what makes him special. It's that quickness, it's his burst, it's his acceleration. That's one thing he's worked on, is the acceleration, but the quickness he's always had. He's one of the best recruits coming out of the state of Missouri. Decided to stay home and try to bring some other recruits with him to put Missouri on the map, and so far, so good.
Luther Burden, 5 touchdowns this season. This one on the ground came earlier today in the first quarter. 4 through the air. Marcus Carroll back in at running back. Minutemen will load the box. Now the senior from Atlanta with the cut, the plug, the explosion. Mizzou in the red zone and now at the 10.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I'm seeing from this offense. You press
that X button again, you're going back to it.
Oh, 100%. They can't stop it so far. So keep on running the same play until they show you they can stop it.
Georgia State transfer, inside give, first down and goal. Brought down to the 4 by Harrell. And a precise, methodical approach by Mizzou has paid dividends so far.
And a demoralizing effort by UMass. One thing that happens if you can't stop the run is you start looking left and looking right. Okay, is it my fault? Is it somebody else's fault? Is it safety? Whose fault is it? And you start realizing there's nothing we can do to stop it. It's frustrating and demoralizing for a defense because now they're just having their way with you.
8 yards per rush. That sounds pretty good if you're a fan of the Tigers. Over the left side, and Carroll is in and across the goal line. Carroll scores his second touchdown.
And it's been, for lack of better terms, Roy, it's been easy for this Missouri offense. We're seeing, I don't know if they've passed the ball more than 4 times so far. It might be 15 or 16 runs so far. They're having their way. The offensive line is not having to work too hard, not have to pass protect. Great job by the offensive line for Missouri.
Blake Craig on, his 3rd extra point. 11 minutes remaining here in the first half. 3 possessions for the Tigers, 3 rushing touchdowns, Acho.
It's been easy for this Missouri offense. No matter who's been at running back, the offensive line is making and paving a way for a 21-zip lead early in the second.
If we were at home, we love our work. Doesn't really feel like work, but if we were at home, the multi-view, listening to KC and Trevor Maddich do their thing all day. Tremendous people, tremendous talent, and college football on full display on this Saturday with all the great games coming up later.
And all the great different time slots. There's great games early, great games in the afternoon, great games late.
Into the end zone, UMass gets it back at their 25-yard line. Kick off your Week 6 NFL Sunday with the Countdown Crew. Fresh off his perfect performance a week ago, Jared Goff goes all access with Alex Smith before taking on the Cowboys. Plus an inside look at the must-see matchup, Jaden Daniels, the Commanders, Lamar Jackson, and the Ravens. Sunday NFL Countdown, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific on ESPN and the app. Jaden Daniels. His ability to process and go through his progressions. That's why he won the Heisman Trophy last year at LSU. Smooth transition into the league now.
He's gotten better every single year. 2 years ago, when he was at LSU, he was pretty solid, but then he got better as a passer, better as a runner. You're seeing that same kind of jump here in the NFL.
UMass is going to try to get running here. Pumachan steps up, stays alive. The penalty marker comes down at the 40 as he tosses that one away. Chuck Hicks had an opportunity. Pumachan able to live to see a few more seconds. Check the infraction.
Holding. Defense, number 20.
Tyson Pumachan, we mentioned it earlier, the transfer from Clemson. Go back to 2020, shortly before the Tigers game against Notre Dame in that epic overtime clash. Trevor Lawrence didn't play that night because of COVID. DJ Uiagalelei made his first start and went off. Tyson Pumachan, he was there, front row seats. Notre Dame's victory in OT. Well, at that point in time, he thought DJ Uiagalelei was going to be the #1 pick in next year's draft. Didn't happen, of course. He wasn't draft eligible, but Pumachan able to learn with two very good quarterbacks in the future, #1 overall pick in the draft, and Trevor Lawrence.
And so much talent in one room. That's the thing you think about when it comes to recruiting, saying, okay, we got to get all these guys. Well, they're all talented. Who's going to play? Sometimes you have to transfer to get an opportunity. And so obviously Trevor Lawrence doing great in the NFL with the Jaguars. DJ Uiagalelei going through an injury, Florida State struggling. Tyson Pumachan.
I mean, Lawrence signed a big contract. I don't know that he's been great so far.
This is true. This is true.
On second down, Pumachan layers the football over to Jacoby Keeney-James. Nothing easy about that toss with the wind. And he struck accuracy in a first down for 14.
I don't know if he layered the ball or the wind layered the ball, but the ball somehow was layered. Great job by Tyson Pumachan getting the ball over the curl flat defender. There's a defender that's supposed to be 10 to 12 yards deep. And I think he thought he was, but that wind just lifted the ball a little bit over and it had to just fall flat into Jacoby's hands.
A wind-aided completion. For UMass, you'll take whatever you can get. Play action wide open, that's a bust. And another first down for Keeney-James.
And that was an interesting play design. We saw that it almost looks like this RPO. Usually an RPO, receivers run a slant. This is not going to be a slant. You're going to see Jacoby Keeney-James just go vertical. So almost fakes the slant and goes vertical. Drake Norwood is looking inside, thinking it's going to be an RPO on the inside. Instead, it's a slight adjustment that turns into a big play.
Gain of 18, second straight possession. UMass has entered Mizzou territory. John trying to find a little rhythm. Stepped up in the pocket. Nobody was open, and he throws it out of bounds. Nearly sacked in the process by Ja'Kai Lang. And the penalty marker comes out.
Intentional grounding. Number 3, offense. That's lost him down at the spot of the pass. Second down.
Nobody home, not outside of the tackle box, if you will. And the penalty marker comes in.
Well, this is going to be intentional grounding, but one person was open. Jacoby Keeney-James actually got behind the defense before the play completely broke down. Well, unfortunately, Tyson Pumachan didn't see it, couldn't get it down the field, and that's why he got sacked. And so when you're feeling all this pressure around your feet, it's hard to keep your eyes downfield, but he had Keeney-James slightly before the sack opportunity presented itself.
2nd and 16. Loss of down with that penalty. Pumachan steps up. This time it's a strike. And Galban picks up 6. All right, Nacho, you got the wind in your face at this point. We saw the punt earlier. You wonder what Don Brown's philosophy will be now if he faces 4th down. He's got 3rd and 10 coming up.
And Roy, in this situation, 3 points are great, but 7 points are better. This is not a game where you're thinking, okay, let me try and get 4 or 5 yards and try and get a field goal, get points on the board. they need touchdowns and they need them early so that this game doesn't get away from them. So though this team likes to control the clock and play slow and run the ball, they need to start getting more into that passing offense.
4 straight completions for Pumachan on 3rd down. There he is again. Jacoby Keedy-James powers his way to the 15. UMass into the red zone. 3 receptions for Jacoby Keedy-James on this possession.
People talk about soft spots in zones. That was a zone defense by Missouri. And what Jacoby Keedy-James does a great job of is finding the soft spot in the zone. Great anticipation by Pumachan. And if you can find that soft spot, it's going to be an easy completion 9 times out of 10.
Pumachan's made some nice throws on this possession. With that win, perfect 4 for 4 on this drive. Pumachan again, a little stop and go. He'll take off. Pumachan on the ground. Lasso down at the 11. And Jacobs.
And as much as we're seeing some positive offense from UMass, which is great to see if you're a UMass fan, the other thing is the UMass defense has been on the field a lot this first half. And so getting an opportunity not just to get points on the board potentially, but keep your defense off the field can provide some momentum that is desperately needed for this offense.
It's our linebacker's perspective right there. I love it. You normally work with these quarterbacks, these high-maintenance running back types. We got Sam Acho down and dirty. Defensive end of Texas. Linebacker of the Bears. We got defensive end.
Defenders are people too, not just kickers.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Our specialists out there. 4-minute drive so far. On the left side, nothing doing. Chris McClellan, Johnny Walker Jr.
That's the second big play we've seen from Chris McClellan. He's 6'4", 325. Transfer from Florida. He was the #2 recruit out of Oklahoma when he came out of high school. #2 in the entire state. So all of a sudden, we're seeing some more talent come on this Missouri defense and on this Missouri team. Transfers are coming in, guys are coming back, and trying to bring some confidence to this defense.
Cookie does it. Daria, little running back. First time we've seen number 30 in the room today. On 3rd and 5, Pumachan. Roundabout scamper. Extends the play. Tosses that one out of bounds. 4th and 5, you got the breeze. You're in field goal range, but down 3 touchdowns. What will Don Brown decide to do?
Yeah, it looks like they're going to decide to go for it. I think going for it is the right decision. Oh, they're trotting out there. The field goal team potentially. Yep. I think going for it is a better decision. The fans think going for it is a better decision. But it looks like they want to get points on the board to try and get a little bit of confidence.
I don't know that I agreed with the punt previously. The SEC in your house for the first time ever. This situation, you need to get on the board.
You need to, but the way your defense has been playing, Roy, you need more than 3. And so they make it a good decision, but you need more than 3 as the game goes on.
Jacob Lurie. Bears at 21-3. You and I haven't agreed on anything today. That's the first time that's happened this year. But UMass agrees. They've got their first points. 5-minute drive, and it's 21-3 in Amherst. 6 minutes remaining, 21-3. UMass on the board in search of some kind of magic on defense. Here in Amherst, Kaloji acquiring the hold on the kickoff. Marquise Johnson back deep to receive for Mizzou. Kaloji, low line driver. Wobbles past Johnson. Somebody's got to jump on it. He gets there. Football was live, and Johnson corralled at the 12. Turn of 7 for starting field position for Mizzou.
Sometimes, Roy, all you want is something good to happen, something in your favor. Right now, with the win, the ball gets not where you thought it was going to be, and so you have a tackle inside the 15-yard line. That's a huge win for UMass in their kickoff coverage unit.
So you kick the field goal, you get the points. Poor starting field position, under 6 to go for Eli Drinkwitch's Mizzou program. He was humbled last week. We've used that word a couple of times. He used it talking with the local media in Columbia leading into this game. Brady Cook, the handoff to Marcus Carroll. Nate Noel remains on the sidelines. He's been engaged. The helmet has been on. Tackled by Jarrell Johnson. Well, a 2-yard gain, and when will we see number 8? Will we see number 8?
I don't know when we will or if we will. 2 things I know. One is that he's an outstanding back. Number 2, they actually haven't needed him so far. 18 rushes, 137 yards, I believe the number is so far. So they haven't needed Nate Noel.
And you think about the upcoming schedule, 6 straight games in SEC play. Dump off to the tight end, Norfleet. Hauls it in quickly. Norrell the tackle, gain of 4. Brady Cook remains perfect in this start. Now 7 for 7.
This is a critical 3rd down, Roy. You talked about momentum and swings and shifts. You get a kickoff, you get them backed up inside their own 15-yard line. You have a critical 3rd down and 5 right now. And so you have to be able to get a stop. Right now, Missouri is 3 for 3 on 3rd downs. If UMass wants to get back into the game, you got to either bring pressure, force an incompletion, and somehow get a stop on 3rd.
Minutemen will load the box on 3rd and 4. Time for Cook, sets his feet, 1st down. Mizzou, ball and another split, and a cut. Slippery, Luther Burden the 3rd.
It's just not fair, right? Like what Luther Burden's doing right now is just not fair. Gerard Cameron is trying to cover Luther Burden. I say trying and put the emphasis there because he didn't do a great job of it. Now, many people haven't. You see him get off of the screen, but Luther Burden is very quick. And so when it comes to running routes or getting the ball in his hand, he can make people miss in a phone booth. That's what we're seeing, not just from Cameron, but most people who try to cover Burden over the last several years.
Acho, that was filthy.
That was nice. That was nice.
That was filthy. Luther Burden already with 119 yards more than UMass. Deep down, incomplete.
I thought you were going to say 119 yards more than you. I'm like, I'm not on the field. I'm wrong. Chill out.
I would never suggest that.
You might. You may.
Pass was incomplete. Burden a breather. First incompletion for Brady Cook. Mookie Cooper comes in to replace number 3, white and gold. And number 2 wide receiver prospect. He's got a chance to climb, move around. Wide receiver's a priority when it comes draft time, of course. Running back's not as much. Under 4 to go in the half. 2nd and 10. Cook all afternoon to survey. In and out. The hands of Mekhi Miller. So 3rd down and 10, and you can feel UMass with a chance for momentum if he can find a way to secure a stop.
And find a way to keep Brady Cook on this drive from using his legs. One thing that we've seen Brady Cook do in the past is if things break down, he may run the ball. So what Don Brown may do is put a spy on Brady Cook to try and keep him from running the ball. In the past, that's been Jarrell Johnson. Let's see if Jarrell Johnson's going to spy Cook and keep it from running when they get pressured.
They rushed 4 last time, perhaps 2 spies in order for the dual threat quarterback of Brady Cook. 3rd down and long. Cook, crosser, Reese Jr. Gotta go, and he can't get there. And the Minutemen get the stop that they needed. Jalen Stewart, the 4th tackle. And the punt team on the field for the first time for the Tigers.
Yeah, this is one of the first times we've been able to call Jalen Stewart's name, but he's a leader on this football team. He's been beat out by transfers 2 years in a row, and this year he's finally getting his opportunity. He said it's been tough for him to try and find a way to stay motivated when he hasn't been able to get that opportunity, but now when he's on the field, he consistently shows up.
So Acho on 3rd and long, rush 3, drop 8, foul that one away. It worked for UMass that time. And the fair catch called by T.Y. Harding after a punt of 34.
Jalen Stewart, middle linebacker, gets a big-time 4th down stop, gets his team some excitement, momentum, and some action as the game continues.
Into the half for the Minutemen to do some damage against Mizzou. Tigers jumped out to a 21-0 lead, but just held for the first time. The UMass defense. Pumachan back on the field rather. He'll run it. We haven't seen a ton of this today, but he found some real estate in a 1st down. Acho, he wasn't healthy during the spring. He's battled some injuries. A gain of 15, Taylor.
That's a big-time drive starter. Less than 3 minutes left in the first half. You want to try and get something positive going. Go with your big, athletic, 6'4", 230-pound quarterback. 220, let me not give him 10 extra pounds. 220-pound quarterback. So get some positive momentum, and all of a sudden the defense is wondering, okay, how do we have to stop this quarterback run?
After the first down, Minutemen hit hard. We'll send it down to Taylor.
Well, guys, down here on the Missouri sideline, this defense speaking a lot about preparing for Jacoby Keeney-James before taking the field for this drive. They were saying don't bite on his double moves. Ahead of this game, 16 of his 24 catches traveled at least 10 yards. They were talking about going into the half, focus in on this guy, don't allow the chunk plays before half. 6 targets, 4 grabs so far for Jacoby Keeney-James for 61 yards. And we've seen the double moves. We saw it in the red zone, and Mizzou was up for the challenge.
Well, when you watch him, I started to call him Mr. Double Move because he'll lull you to sleep, and then he'll get behind you. He's doing it early in this game.
Here's Hester. Right up the middle, the spin. Punish his way ahead. A couple of defenders absorb some collisions. A gain of 8. Some tough running.
And this is good. They're slowing down. They have the 2-minute timeout coming. They don't have any of their timeouts, so they'll use this 2-minute timeout and try and get a few more extra yards to try and get a score as this quarter comes to an end.
Nature's
food to its hands with Allstate. The Texas Longhorns, and have a preview of the big one in Eugene tonight between Ohio State and Oregon. Roy, coming up at the half.
KC, we look forward to all of that. Sam Acho, Arch Manning, Quinn Ewers. Ewers is healthy. Is the leash a little shorter given what we've seen from Arch the last couple of ball games?
No shot. The leash is not short in Austin. It'll be, well, technically they play in Dallas this game, but it'll be Quinn Ewers as long as he stays healthy.
On 3rd and short, Pumachan upended by Corey Flagg Jr., the Miami transfer. It's going to be 4th down and decision time for UMass and Don Brown. You're on the negative side of the field. You're going to get the ball to begin the second half. A chance to go 2 for 1 and get back in this thing, Acho. But I don't know. I'm going to turn the ball over to you again. What would you do? Do you punt it? Do you go for it?
Well, first, I love the decision by Eli Drinkwitz to call the timeout, because if they had no more timeouts left, they could have, Don Brown would have just delayed a little bit and made that decision a little bit harder. Number 2, I still think I personally think they should go for it, but in this situation, it's wise to punt it. Why? You go for it, you give up a point, give up score right now. Now, all of a sudden, this game is extremely out of hand. You punt it, you get a big-time stop. Or maybe you do a fake punt. Let's throw that in there. But you get a big-time stop. Now, at least you have a little bit of momentum. You're getting the ball back when the second half begins. So, though my desire is go for it, take a chance, you've seen earlier from the punt earlier that they're going to try and play it a little bit safe.
C.J. Kaloji back on the field. They will fake it and get the first down. And a lot more. Racing along the right side, almost to the red zone. UMass getting tricky in October.
So I was talking, Roy, and I was like, okay, you got to go for it. Do you punt? As I'm talking, I'm thinking, whoa, what if you did a fake? Now, I haven't seen this on tape, but it doesn't matter. When you've got to get momentum, you run plays that you haven't shown often. And so that's where that fake comes in time. It's such a great job by the punter, faking like the ball went over his head, and then the up back or the personal protector taking that snap and then running it. Great job pretending like the ball's through the end zone. That's what you do. The up back gets an opportunity to run 40, 50 yards. Small thing, but big thing. Good tackle, though, by Luther Burton, who is a wide receiver at punt returner, making that stop.
Clock is running after the fake punt was executed to perfection. Right up the gut, and here comes UMass. First down and goal from the 8. C.J. Hester.
Special teams are special for a reason. Big-time momentum shift by the offense, by UMass. Now, all of a sudden, Hester says, I'm going to get set momentum myself.
It's number 21 that raced on the fake punt. Time continuing to wind down, and a timeout called. Teray Powell. The fake punt on the handoff. It was sold beautifully. And Acho, that just may be the play that turns this thing around for the Minutemen.
And they said that Teray is having his best year so far. He's a 3-year starter, a leader on this team. But this is what you have to do. Don Brown's coached 46 years. He's been in this situation before. He's been up by a lot. He's been down by a lot. So his decision was, all right, this is a situation where I'd like to go for it. I don't want to make it so obvious. Go for the fake punt. UMass, this situation right now, has all the momentum in their favor. So what do? You take a little bit of time. You don't have to score right now. Make sure you get set.
On 4th and 1, the fake punt yields 39 yards to Ray Powell, the hero for the moment. UMass out of timeouts. First down and goal, trying to climb back into it at the end of the half.
You're in no rush right now, so the clock is stopped. You have no timeouts, so you will have a second play ready if you don't score. You're still not in too much of a rush.
Yeah, 67 seconds remaining. I want to give Mizzou the football back with time left on the clock. Johnny Walker Jr. brings down Hester. 2nd and goal.
And they're a no-huddle team, Roy, so they're used to no-huddling. And so you substitute in a receiver. You still take your time. You're at the 5-6 yard line. You're not in a rush. You know the clock is running, but you also may have a secondary play in just in case this play doesn't go according to plan.
Yeah, we asked Shane Montgomery yesterday, how deep will you dig into the bag of tricks for a game like this? He said, we'll dig. We're not going to throw it. We kind of looked at him, but he said, we'll dig. The fake punt was there. Pumachan has the dump down route. He'll take it. And Hester is going to lose a couple. Marvin Burks Jr. kept him right there. 3rd down and goal, and the clock will stop at 23 seconds.
And right decision by Pumachan. I get it. It was a loss, but it's better than taking a sack. If you take a sack in that situation, now all of a sudden, not only do you not get out of bounds, but now your receivers have to try and come in and figure out what the next play is. And so you don't love the fact that it was thrown behind the line of scrimmage, but it's better than the alternative of taking a sack.
3rd down and goal from the 9. Biggest play of the half coming up here. Pumachan intercepted. Oh, it was picked off. Corey Flagg Jr. into plus territory. Still on his feet. Drugged down to the 15 with 8 seconds to go by C.J. Hester. Well, they call him champ. And he comes up clutch here at the end of the half, and Mizzou suddenly in business.
And his dad is a chemical engineer, and so whatever concoction he pulled up in this was unbelievable by Corey Flagg. He stays exactly in his spot, and so he's reading the quarterback's eyes. We call that a bonus hook. Essentially, you're a hook defender, but you're extra. Read the quarterback, get the pick. Of course, he would have loved to score, but champ, named after Muhammad Ali is why they call him that, tries to punch into the end zone.
Now, great effort by Hester to save the touchdown. 1 timeout to work with for Mizzou. And let's see how aggressive Eli Drakewitz wants to get here.
Yeah, be extremely aggressive. Take a shot to the end zone. You have 8 seconds. You have time for 2 plays. If you don't get it, feel free to kick the field goal.
What a change in momentum. UMass had it for a moment, and now it's Mizzou. Pocket collapsing, and Cook's going to be sacked. Mizzou with the 1 timeout. They'll get the clock stopped with 1 second remaining. And Jackson brought down Cook at the 25.
Yeah, great job by Chambry Jackson getting the sack, but here's the issue here. You might say you can't take a sack in this situation like last time, but this is different than last time. Missouri has timeouts available, so you actually would rather take a sack than throw a pick because you can call a timeout and still kick the field goal.
3 seconds back on the clock. Blake Craig, freshman from Kansas City, 12 of 17 this season in the field goal department. You got the breeze. It's currently at his back. And the 42-yard attempt from just inside the right hash. And he played the breeze perfectly with plenty of distance. Halftime arrives in Amherst, 24-3. Let's get you to the Voya halftime report. KC, Trevor Maddich. Gentlemen, the team has ever been here inside of McGirt Alumni Stadium. With Sam Acho, I'm Roy Philpott. Taylor Davis on the sideline. Luther Burden, one of the stars in today's game, has Sam Acho mind to start our 3rd quarter.
And not just me. He's making other people on this defense go Acho mind. Luther Burden has touched the ball 6 times, 120 yards, whether it's in the handoff game, making people miss. Stiff arm to your face, my bad. I'm gonna run like I'm doing in high school, y'all are in middle school. That's what he does on the handoff. And then as a receiver, you throw him the ball. Watch him make you miss, and then you miss, and then not UMass, no, you miss, all of y'all miss, and then I feel bad for some of these defenders to try and cover. Ooh, my bad. Luther Burden, this is why he's going to be one of the first receivers taken when it comes draft time. He's quick, he's elusive, he's got speed. Great football player.
So we take a look at today's player spotlight brought to you by Febreze. No shock here on the ground, through the air. He's going to be a first-round draft pick, Luther Burden III.
And probably top 5 draft pick. He's been waiting for a breakout game this season. His numbers this year are nowhere close to where they were last season, but this game can propel you as you begin and continue your SEC play. And the scouts are going to be watching.
You can feel Mel Kiper Jr. breaking down that tape next April, getting excited in the studio there at the draft.
Yeah, because that translates. What you're seeing from Luther Burden III, it translates where either it's quick area quickness, explosion, he's showing it off.
Taylor Davis, what do you got?
I spoke with Eli Drinkwitz at the half. He was not happy with the sack before halftime, but he was very happy with that interception. Focusing on the defensive side of the ball, he said, we have to tackle better in the run game, and we've got to win first downs. They told us that in meetings this week, guys. They wanted to set up 2nd and 8 or more. That's an emphasis in the second half. Also, offensive update. Running back Nate Noel is unavailable for this game. He's been dealing with back tightness. They are not letting him go today.
We've seen 3 other running backs, all who have performed at a high level for this Mizzou ground attack. Focal point coming into the game. Pumachan, UMass has it to his tight end Mazzotti, his second catch. Upended near the 34.
This is the time, Roy, where you feel or felt as if UMass had some momentum, but there was that interception by Corey Flagg. But UMass does have the ball right now, and so whether it's a slow, methodical drive or a deep shot down the field, getting points right now on this specific drive builds momentum. If you don't, our hope starts to feel like it's lost.
Minutemen had a chance to go 2 for 1 at the end of the half, and you mentioned the interception by Flagg. That changed everything. Nearly took it back the other way, all the way to the end zone. Johnny Walker Jr., the tackle. It's 2nd and long here. We talked to Flagg yesterday. He wants to be a head coach. Nickname and chant you mentioned. He was raised in the shadows of Muhammad Ali, and that was his upbringing. Super impressive for the Miami transfer, and a huge play from Mizzou today.
And not just that he wants to be a head coach. Many coaches have told him that he should go be a coach. Different defensive coordinators, he's had 5 in his years. They've all said, man, you should go into coaching.
On 2nd down, Pumachan lost the football. Penalty marker comes in. He corrals it, and Pumachan ushered out near the 39. So against the Minutemen.
Personal foul, legal hands to the face. Number 72, offense, 15-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
One of the things that people look at is there prolonged hands to the face? And you see that it's prolonged right there on Chris McClellan. We talked about McClellan already. He's an elite football player. So sometimes you try and do whatever it takes to try and slow him down. Still couldn't slow down Chris McClellan, but that's a big-time penalty. Force you into 2nd and long, the opposite of where you want to be if you're UMass.
Pumachan, living right, was able to get the football back on the bounce in traffic. Not easy to do. 2nd and 25 after the infraction. The swing pass. And then straight across the 30 is Brandon Campbell. So a gain of 12. 3rd and long, but much more manageable compared to what we were just talking about. Nick Rodriguez forced him out. Nacho, UMass has had some opportunities today. So at the second half with possession, already sets you back behind the chains. Now 3rd and 13.
And the issue for UMass really has been time. There have been opportunities down the field. Receivers have been open down the field. But Tyson Pumachan hasn't had the time to get the ball down the field. So the offensive line needs to give him time to find some of these deep threats.
Clemson transfer Jalen Lay went in motion. Numero 0, big target, nearly intercepted again. Alan Carnell, love to have that one back. He has been active today, the junior from Indianapolis. Hybrid player, that safety outside linebacker spot.
And he was the #1 corner coming out of the state of Indiana. He majors in parks, recreation, sport, and tourism. He's about to take a tour of the Massachusetts end zone. If he would have held on to the ball, Almost Dalen Carnell, but great job reading the quarterback size. Next time, finish.
Logie on to punt. UMass gets the initial first down on the pass to Mazzotti. The penalty was huge. Luther Burden. See that one go off the foot sideways from Kaloji. And a punt of just 26. Mizzou in business when we return. Third quarter continues out of the maze here in Amherst. This beautiful fall afternoon. The next UFC Fight Night exclusively on ESPN Plus. It's coming up later from the Apex in Vegas. Prelims begin at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, followed by the main card highlighted by the flyweight main event that should be a great one. That is this afternoon and tonight. Samacho Roy Philpott terrified of the corn maze right here in the heart of fall. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Taylor Davis on the sidelines. Luther Burden another touch. Mizzou gets it back into plus territory after the 26-yard punt. Tigers are back in business. Jalen Harrell with the tackle just short of the line to gain near the 47.
I may be more terrified of the corn maze than the UFC fighters.
So we call Burden down at midfield exactly.
Second down.
What if you get lost? What happens?
That's what I'm saying. You're terrified.
You just start yelling.
No one
Somebody
would
comes and fights you.
Nobody would hear you.
Marcus Carroll, no Nate Noel today, as Taylor reported to start our second half. And a first down run. Jalen Stewart the tackle. 3 minutes in.
Roy, someone that I don't think is scared of a corn maze, head coach Don Brown just told me at the half his emphasis with his defense was tackling and those off-tackle perimeter plays, the slash plays, as he demonstrated to us. He really reiterated that at the half.
Mookie Cooper on the field and in motion. That pistol look again to Marcus Carroll. And Carroll finds some extra yards after contact, barreling across the 40.
And that's the play. That's the play. The tackle made by Jalen Hudson, but that's the slash play that Taylor, you're talking about, and Roy, that we were explaining. He said, Don Brown said that they will not stop running this play if UMass cannot stop it. So far, so good for Missouri and not so good for UMass.
A 21-point lead for Mizzou. Don Brown rather, mentioned his stops. Michigan, Arizona, head coach at Northeastern. Second stint here in Amherst. And a brief pause for an injury timeout as we're back now to live action. Second down.
Roy, if I could just go back quickly to that play and why it's so effective. This, some people call it the slash play or the stretch play this Missouri offense is running. What happens sometimes is that defenders, they want to try and stay in their gaps and they'll go sideways. Well, when you go sideways, the running back is just going to find the hole and find the crease. So you have to play, at least what Don Brown said, hey, through the inside shoulder. So just get vertical and try and make it cut back so people can chase backside.
4 straight runs to start the second half for Mizzou. Marcus Carroll remains on the field, a Georgia State transfer. 4 seasons there in Atlanta. On the slant, Luther Burden upended sharply at the 25 by Tyler Rudolph. And Burden remains down on the turf. Now, Rudolph has been here in Amherst for 4 seasons. Started his career at Penn State. Unloads.
A little bit high by Brady Cook.
Timeout on the field. Luther Burden intended to by the training staff. We're back after this. And Acho wincing in pain and grasping that left shoulder as he went into the medical tent a few minutes ago, and he came down awkwardly in the collision with Tyler Rudolph.
And it was a hard hit, a clean hit, but a hard hit on that shoulder. That's the tough part about this game, especially RPOs, is that receivers can be exposed across the middle. You have a middle high or a post safety who's waiting for that run pass option to be thrown. So clean hit, but unfortunate injury to Luther Burden.
Still inside the tent is Mizzou star wideout. It'll be 2nd and 10 after the incompletion. They'll add 5 seconds back to the game clock. 10-17, make it 7 more. Oh, second down after a lengthy delay. Tigers have it with Marcus Carroll. Mizzou 4 straight wins to start this season. Gritty victories against BC and Vanderbilt in overtime. Carroll to the perimeter. Marcus Carroll still on his feet to the end zone. And he stays in bounds for the touchdown. Third of the game for the Georgia State transfer, weaving his way through traffic that time, Acho.
Sometimes it's plays over players. Sometimes it's players over plays. This time it's the play. It's that stretch play, that outside zone play, the slash play. And you're seeing Marcus Carroll, the 5'9", 216-pounder, find the end zone off the edges.
Blake Craig back on the field. 57 yards in just 6 plays. After UMass had possession to start our third quarter. 91 yards, 15 carries. About a fifth of those going for touchdowns so far this afternoon.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is the exact system and scheme that Missouri runs so well, and Marcus Carroll runs so well into the end zone.
Kevin Connors in studio. A 16-play, 85-yard drive has just been capped off with this Rocket Sanders touchdown.
And most of that was on the ground. This was coming out of halftime, and South Carolina made a physical statement.
Roy, they're up right now 19-14 on ABC.
KC Camelot is crumbling right now in Tuscaloosa. And how about Lenora Sellers in that game, Acho? 16 of 19 for a $169. Efficient, but all of a sudden Alabama looks very pedestrian the last 6 quarters.
Well, their defense has looked pedestrian all season long. The offense has held them up. But really, now the defense is still struggling even more, and other teams are seeing signs of weakness.
Harding ahead to the 25. We'll check in with Taylor Davis.
Well, guys, Luther Burton came over here to the sideline, was wincing in pain, reaching inside of his pads, trying to grab that shoulder. He spent time in the medical tent, like you guys saw. Head coach Eli Drinkwitz went in, spent some time with him as well. He has since emerged from the tent, but he's removed his gloves, his helmet, and they're currently taking his ankle tape off. The official word is questionable to return, but all signs point to he's done for today.
Yeah, 28-point lead. There is no chance, in my opinion, you would see Burton back on the field, barring something strange from happening.
You start taking that ankle tape off, there's also no question he's going back on the field. That ankle tape keeps guys sturdy and confident. When that tape comes off, usually their day is done.
Desiderio, the running back. Second time we've seen him this afternoon. Play action. Jacoby Keeney-James racing across the line to gain for the first down.
Jacoby Keeney-James has been and still is what makes this offense go. So as much as you want to be a slow down tempo offense, keep on getting the ball to Jacoby Keeney-James. Those short passes can open up the double moves, which he's so efficient and effective at.
There's Desiderio. Jump cut, a spin, and a couple of yards, and that's it. You go back to the end of the first half, and the interception by Corey Flagg Jr., champ they call him. Well, it changed everything. You could just feel momentum walking away from UMass as he ran down the field.
And Corey Flagg is a big-time football player. He was a transfer from Miami. He had that huge stop against Clemson, against Cade Klubnik in overtime to help them win that game last year. So he's used to making big-time plays. Now he's doing it on a different stage.
So he showed him the love in the transfer portal. Here's a deep ball, the wind in play, and incomplete to Harding.
And those are ones that number one, T.Y. Harding and Puma Chan can make. But number two, you have to run full speed. So T.Y. Harding scored 2 touchdowns last week. He's got a lot of speed. He's a return man in the return game. But sometimes if you're not expecting the ball to come your way, you may not be giving it all you got. I think T.Y. has more in his tank to be able to get that earlier in the down.
You mentioned last week a career high 116 receiving yards in the loss to NIU. This game in which UMass had the lead at halftime. It's the team that upset Notre Dame in South Bend just last month. Third down and 9, and here's movement and a penalty.
False start. number 66 and number 60. 5-yard penalty.
Wyatt Turlack and Josh Atwood. Minutemen have had some opportunities. We mentioned the lead at halftime against NIU. You go back to the overtime setback against Miami, Ohio, where they had a 3-point lead, less than a minute to go in the game. And if you're Don Brown, if you're a fan of this program, you've been close. UMass was the last team to beat Army. Black Knights in the midst of a 10-game winning streak after today, and what we're seeing against UAB. Pumachan across the middle, incomplete, and it was dropped. And it was there for Gibson. That could have been enough for a first down. Instead, it's 4th and 14. Play that Gibson would tell you he's going to make more times than not, and he remains down on the turf.
And sometimes, Roy, sometimes it's those mistakes, and Gibson's going to be open, come across the middle. It's going to be a drop. But it's the mistakes when it goes back to even that game against Miami of Ohio, as Gibson's still down. In that game, they had the lead, ends up being tied. In overtime, they scored a touchdown and ended up having a penalty on that play. And so whether it's penalties or drops or not giving your full effort, those little things that you don't do well can be costly.
Gibson still being tended to near the 47. His team trailing by 28. Certainly a learning experience. Missouri coming into town this week. And remember, UMass next year, they move from independent status into the MAC. That has some people around here talking. You want a seat at the table. That's one way to get it, to be a part of a conference in 2025. And they remain huddled around Gibson as he is helped finally to his feet. Now, so many great games coming up later today. It's interesting when you think about Texas and Oklahoma now as members of the SEC. You go to the Cotton Bowl, there that logo is on the field for the first time. Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, tweeted about it yesterday. Said, man, that looks pretty good. The league where it just means more. They've added 2 more quality programs. Daniel Blood back deep to receive for Mizzou. An awkward kick off the foot again of Kaloji. Punt of just 32. Don't forget, coming up next, we just talked about it, Cotton Bowl in Dallas, the Metroplex. Place to be, number 1 Texas, number 18 Oklahoma. Later tonight, Ole Miss invades Death Valley at 7:30 Eastern in the top 15 showdown. Then tonight, Coach Prime battling Avery Johnson and Kansas State. Wildcats thought to be one of the favorites in the Big 12 this season. So far, it hasn't happened. Coach Prime's team in position. Acho, I know you're excited. The Red River rivalry, edition number 120 this afternoon.
And it's going to be a great game. These games have so many big-time swings, and a lot of people are favoring Texas because of their offense. But the thing is, I remember a couple years ago with Caleb Williams, it was 28-7, and Caleb Williams stepped on the show in 2021 as a true freshman, scored 6-yard touchdown, ended up winning the game. And so, game of huge swings.
The action to the tight end, Joshua Manning to the end zone, and Mizzou strikes again. First touchdown of the season for the sophomore from Lee's Summit, Missouri. And a 63-yard scoring strike.
Talk about a game of big swings and big plays. Just talk about a 66-yard touchdown. That's a 63-yard touchdown by Joshua Manning, getting an opportunity to show off his speed. He's 6'2", 209, a sophomore wide receiver. And once again, we're seeing the edges be exposed on this defense.
Took 12 seconds to score 6 points, the extra point to come. And Acho, that is the longest pass play for Mizzou this season. And you've wondered where and when is that passing game going to take hold? Perhaps the genesis of it in 2024 is today in Amherst.
And you would have thought it was going to be Luther Burden, but it's not. It's Manning coming across the formation. This is the similar type of formation we saw from Burden, but this time, instead of a handoff, it's a pass. The reason plays like these work is that the defense is looking in the backfield, and Manning is so close to the line of scrimmage. He's not out wide like normal wide receivers like +5 or +7, but he's very close to the line of scrimmage, so it happens so much quicker. You lose track of him, he finds the end zone.
38-3. 8:30 to go in our third quarter. Massive games tonight. We haven't even talked Florida and Tennessee, where Tennessee, Nico Iamaleava tries to get things back going in the right direction in Knoxville after a disappointing setback in Fayetteville. And for Billy Napier and the Florida Gators, a chance to turn their season around. Weird thing about college football this season, a lot of weird things have already happened. My question for you, does Oklahoma have a chance against Texas today?
I think they do, but that chance is going to be led by their defense. Billy Bowman, who's an outstanding safety for this team, he had a huge 4th down stop last year. He also forced an interception last year. Oklahoma's offense, they're playing with Michael Hawkins, a freshman. They're playing without some of their star receivers. So you don't expect the offense to have a lot of firepower. But defensively, Roy, that's where this team makes their hay. They're one of the best defenses when it comes to taking the ball away. Quinn Ewers is coming off of, I'll call it 28-day rest. He's been out for nearly a month, hasn't played in 28 days. So you start being physical with Ewers and force turnovers early, this game could go anyway.
UMass gets it back.
But I do have a question for you. What do you think about the game? You asked me, we had a conversation. What's your opinion?
Texas is the best team in America right now. Pumachan launching, has a man, and it is incomplete. Jacoby Keeney James remains down on the turf. In and out of the midst, running full speed. Jamarian Wayne in coverage.
And we talked about him getting behind defenses, double moves, his speed. Jacoby Keeney James, no matter where he plays, you'll find him usually behind a defender. He wasn't able to bring that one down. That was a great job getting the hand inside to clear that ball out. Great job by Jamarian Wayne. But Keeney James is consistently behind defenses, so sooner or later that's a problem that'll need to be solved as Missouri continues.
You can build around number 11 in maroon, and we've seen that this season as the leading receiver for Tyson Pumachan. Play action, and again, the pass sails behind T.Y. Harding. Well, we know this, Oklahoma would not have stood any kind of chance with the Acho brothers, Emmanuel and Samuel, back in the day. Number 81 and number 18, the palindrome. You guys had some success against your arch rivals, right?
We did. We were 2-2, so freshman year weren't able to get the victory. Sophomore and junior year we won. We were down big at the sophomore year. Jordan Shipley had a big-time kickoff return. Once again, talking about swings, down 14-3. He scores a kickoff return touchdown, ended up winning 45-35, go to the national championship the next year. So that game means something, and I was just happy to be a part of it.
Casually mentions the national championship appearance. UMass gets it back, and Pumachan's going to be gobbled up.
We casually lost to Alabama in the national championship, starting Nick Saban's casual dominance. So that's why I casually mentioned it.
Neri records the sack, and the punt team trots on the field for the Minutemen. 38-3. Mizzou's going to get it back in firm control nearly halfway through our third quarter. Kaloji hasn't had the kind of afternoon he would hope for with this crazy wind. The Tigers, Acho, dominating this third quarter. From the 49, Blood retreats and is bottled up quickly. Punt of 29 yards and a return. It's a loss of 2. When we take a look at the current probability, according to ESPN Analytics, to make the college football playoff, we disagree with Mizzou's chances at 9%. You still got a road trip to Alabama. Alabama right now, as of last check, losing at home to South Carolina. Point of this graphic is, well, those top 5 teams, an outstanding chance in the SEC to make the new 12-team college football playoff. And there's some others like Texas A&M. Their schedule very favorable down the stretch.
Their defense is also very dominant. I went back and watched the game last week versus Missouri, and their defense is playing at an elite level. And that game at the end of the season versus Texas, that renewed rivalry, is going to be a thriller.
Connor Wigman back in the fold. Just ask Mizzou. 18 of 22 last week in the win against Missouri. And he was a difference maker. As you take a look at the Tigers' remaining schedule, favored against Auburn, a different story, likely in Tuscaloosa. Oklahoma and at South Carolina. Tough road to hoe in the SEC. And then Mississippi State and Arkansas close down the season. We talked with Coach Drink yesterday, and I said, Eli, you guys go 10-2. You're in the playoff. He said, who are you, Stephen A? And fact of the matter is, in the SEC, you win 10 games, you're going to have an outstanding shot, Taylor.
That was one of his best quotes from the day, Roy, truthfully. But I really like the way that he challenged his guys this week, saying we don't have to be defined by the one loss, but we will be defined by what we do after it. And that starts here with UMass. As unexpected as this matchup is, they wanted to put out a better showing and specifically see the things that hindered them last week be fixed this week, whether it was third down, sacks, penalties. They wanted to correct them and correct them quickly, and that's what they've done.
Third down at 13. Tigers call a timeout.
Timeout, Missouri. That's the first charge timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
Well, third down and 13. After the pause, you think about last season in Columbia. Cotton Bowl victory against Ohio State, New Year's Six bowl game. And for Eli Drakewitz back at the end of December, it's 14-3 was the final. The defense was the story, and all that NFL talent. 5 players, in fact, that bolted to the professional ranks after a season ago. That Brady Cook touchdown to Luther Burden with 5:12 remaining. Cody Schrader did his thing. 11-point victory against the Buckeyes, who are on the road later tonight at Oregon.
You talked about all that talent that left to the NFL, and as Drake Straw went to the NFL. And I think about even Cody Schrader, who had walked on. I got a chance to run into him last year, undrafted to the 49ers. There's so much talent, but also leadership that left. And so what's happening now is this Missouri team is trying to find out who are our leaders. I get it, we're up 38-3 right now against UMass, but as our SEC play continues, who's going to step up when things get tough? Those questions still need to be answered.
On third down, a clean pocket for Cook. He's going to survey all afternoon.
Might survey to the nighttime, too.
And that pass sails out of bounds, intended for Norfleet. The UMass defense comes up with a stop.
Going back to that conversation, Roy, that Taylor, you, I, and Taylor were just having, some of the issues are being solved. You talk about the offense and got to be a little bit better there, but defensively, I saw a lot of missed tackles on tape last week versus A&M. Haven't seen as many missed tackles this week. Offensively, didn't see them getting the ball to Luther Burden as much. I have seen that this week. So some of those issues, Taylor, to your point, are getting resolved, but other ones, though the score doesn't reflect it, are still there.
Tigers forced to punt. Luke Bauer back on the field. And with Harding back deep to receive, he'll send it the wind aid and drop for a moment, but recovered by Harding. Week 6 Monday Night Football game. Massive AFC East matchup. Josh Allen and the 3-2 Bills. Aaron Rodgers, the 2-3 Jets, with a brand new head coach and a new offensive play caller. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. ESPN Deportes with Peyton and Eli again on ESPN2.
That was a surprise. The firing of Robert Saleh after 5 games.
It's a quick trigger right there with that maneuver.
And the defense wasn't really the issue. Am I talking too much?
No, you're not. I was just curious to see where you were going to go. It feels like to me the Jets are in trouble. Maybe I'm off base.
No, I think you're on base. You might even go steal a base and hit a home run.
On first down, Brandon Campbell gains a couple. The playoff percentage chances for Mizzou, I still think they're afforded one more mulligan. 10-2 in the SEC this year. I don't care who you are. You're certainly in the conversation, and you would have a great chance. Now, Eli Drakewitz didn't want to have anything to do with that conversation yesterday. You can understand why. But the other issue I would have with that graphic with ESPN Analytics, Texas A&M and its playoff chances around 30-32%. Acho, their schedule down the stretch, Mike Elko year 1, very favorable. On the swing, Campbell He'll get a first down. A&M at 32%. If you're watching at home, I give you permission. Pull it up on the old smartphone right now. You show me where Texas A&M is going to lose a game between now and the return of the Texas A&M rivalry at the end of the regular season. They're in prime position. Maybe one of the sleepers right now in college football.
And while you're on your smartphone, go ahead and look up the score and the results of last week when A&M played Missouri, because that's the issue Missouri's going to have when the committee looks. And if there's teams with the same record, don't win conference championships, there's going to be a conversation about like opponents or mutual opponents. And giving up 41 points and losing in the manner in which you lost to, and let's say both A&M and Missouri have 2 losses, if you're a committee member, you're going to go back to that game and say, hey, they played head-to-head. That hurts.
There may be enough room for both. We'll see.
Tennessee may have something to say about that.
Georgia,
Ole Miss,
Texas,
LSU. That's a lot. You named about 6 or 7 right now, Roy.
All those teams are thinking about it.
All right.
On 2nd down and 8. Under 5 to go in the 3rd. Blitz came in the secondary. That ball popped straight up in the air. They're going to whistle it as still a live football. No whistle, in fact,
Ruling on the field,
as he's now down.
Recovery by UMass.
Brandon Campbell was able to jump on top of it. That ball just slipped right out of Pumachan's hands, it looked like.
Correct. Yeah, it looked like that. Yeah, the hand was empty. So hand is empty. That's a fumble recovery, but still that huge loss of down. So thankfully for UMass, it's not an interception or recovered by Missouri. But the difficult part for UMass is now you're in 3rd and ultra long.
Marcus Clark forced the fumble, a loss of 12 on the play. 3rd down in Springfield. 35-point lead. And inside to Campbell. UMass will punt it away. Johnson the tackle after a gain of 2.
We talk a little bit about field position, not only in this game, Roy, but throughout all of our games. And we've talked about the wind. What's happening right now is you're going to see the punt returner is going to be lined up maybe 30 yards away from where the football is. So Daniel Blood usually maybe like 40 or 45 yards away. He's lined up at his own 45. Actually, he's moving up to the 40-yard line. Not only because of the wind, but because of the poor punts. And so talk about field position. Missouri's gaining it big time.
Part of the hidden yardage of special teams. And he was right. He was correct to move up. Punt landed short of the 40, the plus 40 for Mizzou.
And it's kind of confusing if you're a punt returner. You're thinking, all right, coach, like the ball's right there. Why am I going up closer? And he could have even, to your point, get it to 39 and caught that ball. So it's a weird kind of situation because of the wind and because of the poor punts, just to be transparent. But you got to listen to your coach. Coach says move up to the 30. All right, coach, I'm going to be at the 30 and get it right.
Gusts up to 32 miles an hour this afternoon in Amherst. UMass at 1-5. Tigers on the verge of improving to 5-1. .305 to go in the 3rd. We expected the weather to be much cooler this afternoon. That was not the case. Marcus Carroll back in at running back. He's already scored 3 times in this game. Brady Cook wants to throw it. And the dump off goes to Mookie Cooper. So you take a look at this week's college football rankings brought to you by Capital One after a gain of 4. What do you like here?
I like Oregon and Ohio State. I think Ohio State is the best team in the nation, though they're not ranked #1. Defensively, they're the #1 defense. Offensively, they put up big points. That's what I'm most excited about. That game right there, Oregon, Ohio State, coming tonight. Roy, you like Oregon.
I think Oregon wins, but the real score on that graphic, South Carolina winning in Tuscaloosa to start the 4th quarter. I mean, Shane Bieber right now is flexing on Kalen DeBoer. I don't think anybody thought that was possible going back 2 weeks ago. Gamecocks were nearly shut out a week ago at home by Ole Miss 27-3. Different story today. Big tight end into the red zone. Rumbling is Norfleet. Gain of 36, 1st and goal for Mizzou.
So Brett Norfleet is 6'6", 255 pounds, running right down the middle. He's hard to miss, especially if you're a quarterback. Now, here's what I like about this. It is a blowout, but you're keeping Brady Cook in the game. Why? He's struggled all season long. You want to build Brady Cook's confidence now as he goes into SEC play. Yes, you want to keep him healthy, but build his confidence, because that confidence and chemistry is going to be necessary if they want a chance to compete, not only in the SEC, but also in the playoffs.
90 seconds to go in the third. First down and goal. Brady Cook wants to throw it end zone. Norfleet grabs it. And he will get the honors, his first score of the season. That's got to feel good for old 87. And the Tigers pouring it on in Amherst.
So now that Luther Burden is out of this game, you're wondering, who are my secondary and tertiary options? Okay, you have Theo Weiss, but now right down the middle, Brett Norfleet. That height makes it so difficult for defenders to cover. It wasn't necessary there. The ball was right in the middle of his chest. But as the season goes on, you're finding out, who else can I rely on if I want to continue to win?
48 yards in just 3 plays, 45-3. And Brady Cook, there was talk this week of the brotherhood, how he could kind of enhance and increase his production and role with this offense. Whatever they've dialed up today, it certainly has worked. Cook now 14 of 19, 2 touchdowns, over 200 yards, and Mizzou 9 possessions. Taylor, 7 scores in this game thus far.
Yeah, and it was a challenging week for Brady Cook. His coaches told us that they challenged him. Don't fixate so much on yourself, whether good or bad play. Don't fixate on the outside noise and what they say about you. Focus that energy toward your teammates. Get your offensive line lined up. Make sure your wide receivers are cleared in on what's going on. And down here on the sideline, guys, he's been active this entire day, whether he's on the bike, he's throwing with guys, he's communicating with the entire team. Seems like he really took that insight to heart. And Sam, we were talking about it this day and age in college football. It's got to be challenging to not hear the noise out of a game like the Texas A&M loss.
And it's also a self-centered society, and so you often are thinking, how can I get better? What happened in my draft stock? And what his coaches told him is, stop worrying about you and start focusing on your teammates. Help your offensive line be better. Why? Because if they're better, you'll be better. Help your receivers be better. Why? Because if they're better, you'll be better. So by focusing on other people, it actually, in a cyclical way, ends up helping you as well.
One of the first things Eli Drinkwitz told us about Brady Cook yesterday, he said he's nails. He's been in the film room 2 hours before everybody else reports. Hasn't missed a beat. One thing he suggested, start caring about others just a little bit more perhaps, and that will get you where you want to go. Forget it's already top 5 in Mizzou history in passing yards.
Well, because you can get psyched out saying, okay, is it my arm angle? Is it my footwork? Why is it me, me, me? Stop saying me and start saying you. How can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I care about you? Because when you start doing that, your teammates may even play harder for you.
UMass football on the swing. C.J. Hester gains a couple, give him 3. Approaching a minute to go in the third. College football this year is very strange. The upsets and perhaps more on the docket today with what we're seeing in Tuscaloosa. It hasn't happened in Amherst, obviously. And if you're a Mizzou fan watching 1,200 miles away back in Columbia, you feel good about that because nothing is given this year. 12-team playoff, the transfer portal, all the things have created chaos. And look, it makes us look forward to December 20th that much more. Those first playoff games on site, on campus, around the nation. There's a lot of moving parts. Have college football feeling a little different this year. 3rd down and 5 coming up for the Minutemen.
Talked about those December 20th and 21st games on campus. So with this new 12-team playoff, not only do you have 12 teams, but you also have home games. So how great will that be? The top 4 ranked teams will have a bye, but 5 to 8, they'll be able to play at their house. I can't wait.
You and everybody else. UMass just 2 for 11 on 3rd down today. This was a home-and-home series scheduled, contracted way back in 2019. The UMass scheduled to make the return trip to Columbia next year. You wonder if that game will go through, but certainly possible.
And UMass has some other games on their schedule this season that are a little bit scary.
Road trip to Georgia
Yep.
and to Mississippi State. So you got 3 SEC teams on the schedule for a team that's currently an independent that moves into the MAC in 2025. And you take a look at what's coming up. Starkville, classic city of Athens. Rivalry game against UConn, who's had a better than expected season to wrap things up at the end of November.
And Liberty has a better than expected back. Quentin Cooley, he's small, about 5'8", but he was one of the best backs last year, playing at a high rate this year as well. So it doesn't get too much easier for UMass as the season continues.
3rd and 5. Run the option, the pitch to Hester. With a crease and stop short of the line to gain, it'll be 4th and 2 to begin the 4th. It is all Mizzou, M-I-Z, in Amherst.
We welcome you back to Amherst. Mizzou with a 45-3 lead. Head coach Eli Drinkwitz joins me now. Coach, you wanted to see a proper response from your team out of last week. How have you seen that through 3?
Yeah, I thought really good so far, especially for our defense to come out fast in the 3rd quarter and get that interception before half. Really good to see our offense kind of get into a rhythm right there, throwing the ball in that last drive.
We saw you peek in the medical tent, say something to Luther Burden after he was shaken up on that play. What'd you say to him?
I said I was trying to get him 100 yards rushing, but if he don't get back in the game, I can't.
He seems done, but hopefully he'll be back soon. Appreciate your time.
He'll be just fine, MIC.
Well, certainly the biggest news of the afternoon after Burden went down to start the 2nd half. 7th punt of the afternoon for UMass. Daniel Blood fields it off the double hop and ushered out of bounds short of the 20. We'll check in with Kevin Connors.
All right, Roy, after trading turnovers, Alabama has regained the lead behind Jalen Milroe's legs.
Yeah, they regained the momentum here, too, because Milroe threw an interception in the end zone. Then 2 plays later, South Carolina fumbled, and this is the ensuing Bama drive to snatch the momentum back.
Alabama was denied on the 2-point conversion, Roy. It's a 1-point game.
1-point contest in Bryant-Denny, and that score is certainly sending shockwaves around America at this juncture. Over on ABC, Drew Pine, new quarterback for Mizzou, the Notre Dame transfer. And Lacey checks in at running back with Johnson moving in motion. And the pop pass with a jet sweep action goes out of bounds, crossing the 20. Now Drew Pine. Take a look at his last season at Arizona State after the short stint at Notre Dame. Arizona State with a nice win last night in Tempe against Utah, an upset of sorts. Coach Dillingham's team now with just 1 loss. They're a factor in the Big 12.
And they've been surprising. A lot of people didn't expect Arizona State under Kenny Dillingham to be this successful this season, but they've been a surprisingly good team in the Big 12.
Lacey gets back to the 21, and that's it. Sorry, brought him down with a host of others. Minutemen defense.
This is the time, Roy. I know the score isn't pretty, no matter, well, if you're on UMass's side, it's pretty if you're a Missouri fan, but this is the time where people still watch tape. And so if guys want to go to the NFL, or even NFL, guys want to put good stuff on tape for the future, you still got to play hard and play fundamentally sound. Beat the guy in front of you, no matter who that guy is.
Play clock at 10, and Pine with plenty of time to survey this UMass defense. He'll throw it. Slant pattern is there, but stopped about a yard shy. Joshua Manning, who scored the touchdown for Mizzou in the 3rd. And on 4th down, let's see what Eli Drinkwitz wants to do. Unconventional coach, both in conversations and also unorthodox at times with the play calling and the riverboat gambling mentality.
Yeah, but I have no issues with this for a couple reasons. The main reason is we've seen what punts in this direction have gone and how it hasn't gone well. And so if you're going to go for it, I have no issues.
Manning went in motion. Lacey gets the handoff in search of a crack, and let's see, he got it. On 4th down, he'll pick up the first. Needed 1, gain 2.
And situationally wise, I get it. The score is the score, but you also want to practice situations for the guys who are in the game. And so, all right, 4th and 1, we got to get a yard. Let's see if we can get a yard.
Now, was this time a week ago I posed the question to Samuel Acho, Vanderbilt hosting Alabama, does Vandy have a chance? We were debating that a little bit pregame, during the game, afterwards. Vandy, of course, found a way. Is there a game like that on the slate later tonight that Sam Acho is looking at? As Lacey bolts across the 30. Gain of 4 yards on first down.
How much later? You talking about Oregon, Ohio State later? You talking about Colorado later? You talking about Texas, Oklahoma later with you? How much later?
All right, so I'm going to give you the layup opportunity here, and I'll take you to Boulder, 10:15 tonight, ESPN, Avery Johnson, Kansas State, one of the favorites of the Big 12. Coach Prime has something cooking right now in Boulder. Slight underdog, I believe, at home as of last check. How do you frame CU's chances against KSU?
I think the chances are great. Now, mind you, last week around this time, I said Alabama is going to dominate. I said that Vanderbilt has no shot, and I was completely wrong. But I think in this scenario, Colorado has been not only playing great with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, but Kansas State hasn't played as confidently as we would have thought. I thought they were going to be the favorite in the Big 12, and it hasn't looked that way offensively, defensively. Avery Johnson, in his youth, hasn't really been able to get the ball down the field passing. Still a great runner, but I like Colorado in this one.
I don't think I could agree with you anymore. Johnson, the downfield passing game in Manhattan, it hasn't really been there. Dynamic dual threat quarterback, and we've seen that at times. But for a quarterback that could be the face of that league, hasn't happened yet. I think they're going into a hornet's nest tonight.
Did you agree with me last week with Alabama? I don't remember hearing what you said, so you could tell me what's it with you.
I like to give myself a little leeway.
So you called upset?
No, I didn't call upset, not on the air.
Oh, okay.
Jones in at running back for the first time. Tavoris Jones, sophomore from El Paso. And Missouri content to let that clock tick on down, approaching 10 minutes to go. Tigers were in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts a few years back, a loss against Boston College. Jones was stopped by McGill. Weird year for college football. This was kind of a game that stood out on the schedule in a weird manner to most. You aren't really surprised to see UMass and Missouri play each other, but to do it here in Amherst, where the SEC has never ventured into before today. But so far, obviously, it has gone to perfection, just about, for Coach Drink. Tigers today already over 200 yards passing and rushing. Well, Mizzou fans, close your eyes. This was September 25th, 2021, Chestnut Hill, and the loss to BC. It's an overtime field goal from 56 yards out. And then here comes the Eagles. Brandon Sebastian, interception, sealed the deal in the end zone there at Alumni Stadium. 41-34, the final in OT that afternoon. A different story today coming back here to Massachusetts.
And both those teams had some players on them. Think about Harrison Mevis, the kicker. Think about Brandon Sebastian, starred in the UFL and the XFL these last couple seasons. Got some talent. Zay Flowers.
Tyler Stevens brought down quickly. McGill again. Under 9 to go in Amherst. Right back to the line of scrimmage. And that's it. And we've talked a little bit today about Missouri's upcoming schedule. So after this, not exactly a walk in the park. It's manageable. And Acho, I think you pointed out to Coach Drink yesterday, probably going to be favored in every game but one. We'll see, and that's subject to change. That road trip to Alabama. No, SEC play not for the faint of heart by any stretch this season. 3rd down and 7, so you're trying to stack wins whenever you can, looking for Joshua Manning. And it's Auburn next week. That game in Columbia, road trip to Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma, South Carolina on the road at Williams-Brice. Battle of Columbia's Mississippi State and Arkansas. So no gimmies really there. But you just look at it, Acho, it's not impossible to navigate your way through that and maybe get to 10 wins.
Yeah, but that Oklahoma game is a game that I'm looking at saying, all right, Oklahoma offensively struggle, but defensively, if Missouri hasn't figured out their offense, that game could be a game that you don't want to overlook.
Luke Bauer sends it to T.Y. Harding. Timeout on the field, 8:20 to go after a punt of 27. The new 12-team college football playoff. Those brackets look spectacular. They are real. As you take a look at the 5 highest ranked conference champions, they get those automatic bids. The 4 highest ranked league champions get that highly coveted first round bye. Ahmad Haston is the new quarterback for UConn. So Tyson Pumachan's afternoon is done. A gain of 5. When you think about the possibilities for a minute, and who knows who's going to be there. But you've got a team, let's say like Georgia, maybe at 10-2 at the end of the season. Maybe they're not the automatic qualifier. You see Haston's numbers as a redshirt freshman from Palm Beach. Perhaps Georgia's on the road in the heart of the Big Ten at Penn State. You think about a game like that in the first round in Happy Valley, in Athens, wherever, I don't care. That is going to be appointment television, Sacho.
And what's great about games like that and teams like that, just to go specific on Penn State, is Penn State, number 1, has a chance this year, not behind Ohio State and Michigan. And number 2, they have an offense this year. Andy Koto, well, not even that. Andy Kotelnicki, their offensive coordinator, he came from Kansas, one of the biggest play offenses in college football. Before that, he was at Buffalo with Lance Leipold and Kansas with Lance Leipold. Now, all of a sudden, Drew Aller's playing like we all expected Drew Aller to play. And so I can't wait to watch games like that as the season progresses.
Late pitch goes. Brandon Campbell. And Greco will blow that play up. Going to lose 4. And it'll be 4th down. Under 7 minutes to go. Good chance we will see A.J. Hairston also quarterback behind Pumachan here at UMass. Daniel Blood back deep to receive this punt from Kaloji. CJ's been busy today, and it is his 8th punt of this game. Tumbles off the foot. Blood picks it up. No fair catch. And retreats quickly after a punt of 37. Mizzou football after this. Nice stadium. Turned out to be a great day for Mizzou.
Snap infraction, number 50, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Digging deeper on the depth chart for the Tigers. They'll quickly get back on campus. It's funny, Coach Drinkwitz told us they came out a day earlier than normal. So they were here on Thursday because of the early start, and they didn't want to spend all that time kind of clogged up on an airplane back-to-back days. So a little extra time to adjust, 1,200 miles from home, and then now the turnaround with Auburn coming to Faurot Field next week. With travel, we've heard a lot of conversations around America with how conferences have changed, expanded, and rivalries now span multiple time zones. It's been a popular topic of conversation, but even in a matchup like this, it was a consideration in how Mizzou approached this contest.
An extra day just gives you extra time to relax and recover. Think about it. Usually you would do a walkthrough the morning of day of travel. Then you do that walkthrough, let's say it's 10 a.m. or so. There's however long, 3 or so hour flight. You're getting there later. You're trying to get to the hotel. And so that's the difficult part, probably even longer than 3 hours, just to get situated for a game. And then as soon as the game ends, now you're on a flight again. So it's tough.
Good afternoon for Brady Cook. 219 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, a loss of 6 on that last play by Drew Pine. And Eli Drinkwitz indicating to Taylor Davis moments ago in between the 3rd and 4th quarters, Luther Burden appears to be okay. At 127 yards, a lot of that coming on the ground on that first touchdown. First possession of this game by the Tigers. 5 minutes remaining, and a deep ball nearly intercepted. Off the fingertips of Powell, who was partially responsible for that brilliant fake punt we saw at the end of the first half. 4th and 23, and Mizzou will punt it away.
And this is the time where, as you get more on that depth chart, guys who haven't got opportunities to play are getting more opportunities. And one mindset is, hey, let's just get out of the game and let's get home and get healthy. The other mindset is, let's take advantage of these opportunities. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. Okay, if you're getting an opportunity to get an interception or throw a pass down the field, how do you make the most of that opportunity?
Here's Luke Bauer. T.Y. Hardy. backs away as it caroms out of bounds. 4:54 to go when we come back. In the nightcap, we're not done at 10:15 Eastern. Kansas State and Colorado from Boulder. As we welcome you back to Amherst. UMass football. Jacoby Keeney James with the reception, a gain of 8. Sam Acho, Roy Philpott, Taylor Davis. A quick shout out to Frank Martin, head basketball coach here at UMass. His team in position this year on the hardwood in the Atlantic 10 to do some things. We caught up with Coach Martin shortly before kickoff today. Former head man at South Carolina, also at Kansas State. Took the Gamecocks to a Final Four. Men's basketball back in the day. Great seeing Coach. Rodriguez with the tackle. Desiderio with the carry. Now the drama of today over at Bryant-Denny Stadium in ABC action, 20-19 late in the fourth quarter. Alabama leading South Carolina. And you take a look at the other games coming up, many of which we've talked about. Well, Vanderbilt, a pretty significant underdog in Lexington after that thrilling win against Alabama. Commodores didn't trail in that game. Diego Pavia now has a podcast after last week. And Ryan Mosesso acquiring some assistance off the field. As you take a look at that one score in the games to come. Ole Miss LSU tonight. Been debating that game with our crew this week, and my thought is, can LSU find a way to simply slow down Ole Miss? Because I'm still not a believer in Blake Baker's defense yet. He will get it done. Baker, the former Missouri defensive coordinator, but I don't know if they're there just yet.
Yeah, the LSU defense, especially early in the season, had struggled stopping the run. Well, Ole Miss doesn't just pass it extremely effectively with Jackson Dart. They also run it effectively, and so that could be a great formula for Ole Miss if they want to get the victory.
Haston gets it over to Campbell. Stays in bounds. Penalty marker comes in. Rodriguez grabbing the face mask.
Personal foul, face mask, number 20, defense, 15-yard penalty from the end of run, automatic first down.
Ole Miss doesn't win in Death Valley. Nobody wins in Death Valley except LSU in primetime. I wonder about that this year.
Yeah, and LSU, you talk about even South Carolina and Alabama playing. LSU nearly lost to South Carolina earlier in the season. So LSU has had some big wins, but they got to be more consistent with so much talent, especially on offense.
Mizzou will jump back on the plane, head back to Columbia. As soon as this game concludes, quarterback keeper on first down, Rodriguez, the tackle on Haston again. We're looking at that Mizzou schedule down the stretch. After today, Auburn at Alabama, Oklahoma, road trip to Williams-Brice, Columbia, South Carolina. Then over to Starkville and Arkansas on a rivalry matchup on November 30th.
And Roy, to your point of talking to Coach Drink in that 10-2 conversation.
He didn't like it.
He didn't like it, but if Alabama does lose, that picture gets a lot clearer for Missouri as far as getting to the playoffs.
Desiderio lost the football, recovered by the Tigers, and stepping out quickly will be Shamar McNeil. And the turnover after the forced fumble by Caleb Flagg, the younger brother of Corey Flagg, who had the interception at the end of the first half. Flagg brothers doing some damage.
Well, I got to see some play with my brother, and watching not only Caleb but Corey Flagg not only play together but root each other on. It's fun to see. Sometimes when you're around the ball, good things happen. We're seeing right now, Caleb around the ball, good things happening.
And Caleb, if you're watching the replay of this game later, turn your television or smartphone down, because your brother Corey told us yesterday, you're a dog and he thinks you're going to be better than him long term in Columbia.
That's the part I love about relationships and playing with family, is the deal of, hey, I think I'm pretty good, but I want my brother to succeed as well.
I don't think Corey wanted us to say that, but we just did it on national television.
I mean, guys, he was beaming when we asked about Caleb in meetings yesterday, right? And he told us it really didn't hit him until fall camp when their parents were able to come to town and see both of them. The two of them each started their collegiate careers at different programs, entered the portal, and Mizzou gave them both a chance. Pretty special.
Houston Christian in Miami for the Flack brothers, and they go by Champ and also Bam Bam, although Bam Bam hasn't really taken hold just yet for the younger Flag. 2-minute timeout. We'll step aside in Amherst. All Mizzou. Mizzou on the verge. Brady Cook of improving to 5-1 on the season, a 42-point lead. At UCF and Cincinnati coming up as soon as we are done here. Mike Monaco, Kirk Morrison, and Don Davenport on the call of that one. Tigers a couple of more runs, and Jones trying to stay in bounds before he tumbles out. They'll keep the clock on the move. No, UMass will go back to the drawing board. An open date coming up, and then Wagner comes to McGurk. And you got two more SEC teams on the slate for head coach Don Brown, year number 3. They've had their share of upsets. You go back to New Mexico State on the road last year. Army, they're the last team to beat Army. Black Knights currently in the midst of a 10-game winning streak after their game concludes today against UAB. And Sacho will have the good fortune of seeing Army in person next week up at West Point. Can't wait for that. We've never been there. Be another early start on ESPN2. 70 seconds to go. What's turned out to be a brilliant afternoon for Mizzou and that man Brady Cook.
Yeah, Brady Cook's been outstanding, and going back to that game against Army. Army's a good football team. Navy's a good football team. Start talking college football playoff, whether it's Missouri being in the SEC or at large, or whether it's an Army or Navy being a Group of 5 champion, the highest rated. This thing will get interesting when it comes playoff time, and it already is interesting right now.
Yeah, the potential is there, and there are some that are starting to talk about it, where Army and Navy could potentially play twice, once in the American Conference Championship game, and again the middle of December. And it's interesting because that second game would not matter in terms of the college football playoff, but a long ways to go before we get there. And the quick finish here in Amherst, 45-3 the final. Eli Drinkwitz in search of Don Brown. And a bounce back dub for Mizzou. First ever meeting with UMass. And the first SEC team here at McGurk Alumni Stadium will trot out the big victors in this matchup.